Hello, and welcome back to the show, everyone. Today's episode will pull at your heartstrings. This is one of those stories that could possibly move you to tears. So, take a breath, and let's get started. The Sister Wives Season 19. Tell-all began not in fanfare, but in raw emotion. If you were expecting tears, regrets, and explosive revelations, this installment had all of that and more. At the center of the storm was Kody Brown, his face visibly weary and his heart spent. For years he attempted to keep 4 wives happy, but now there's just a man faced with the fallout. From the beginning, it was apparent this would not be an easy sit-down. The wounds were raw and the emotional ones cut deep. Seated right next to him was Robyn Brown, the last wife to be legally and spiritually bound to Kody. But even she was visibly shaken. That assertive woman who used to discuss family cohesion and celestial marriage was nowhere in sight. Instead, seated before us was someone who was on the verge of desperation and confusion. Her vision of a big, combined, plural family had fallen apart at her feet, shattered into a million pieces, and now she was confronted with having to acknowledge that reality for the world to see. Her eyes kept scurrying toward Kody, looking for reassurance, for connection. But what she saw was a man in his own regret. Host Sukanya Suki Krishnan didn't mince words. She asked the tough questions, the ones that viewers had been screaming at their TV sets for years. "Do you feel like you have failed your family?" she questioned Kody. And for a split second, the room froze. Kody hesitated, nodded then. "Yes," he whispered, "I failed." Those 2 words hurt more than any past outburst. This was not the hot-tempered, angry Kody we'd previously witnessed. This was a man face to face with the ruin he had contributed to. Robyn's face contorted when she heard those words. She had ever been the dutiful wife, the final stand-in for the Brown family dream. But now, even she could not deny the reality. Their dreams lay ashes. "I didn't want this," she wept. "I never wanted to be the only one left." Her voice broke, repeating the pain of a woman who has been left behind, by the family she married into, by her sister wives, and even perhaps by Kody himself. Meanwhile, Meri Brown, the original matriarch of the Brown family, sat outside of the madness with a sense of peace that no one expected. There was a time when she clung desperately to Kody, hoping to salvage something, anything of their love. But that time was over. Now she was reborn. Her eyes were clearer, her voice steadier. "I stayed too long for the wrong reasons," Meri admitted, "but I've finally let go." There was no bitterness in her tone, just a quiet strength that had taken years to build. Suki inquired of Meri about when she knew that it was truly over. "It wasn't one moment," Meri said. "It was 100 tiny moments of silence, indifference, rejection. I just finally accepted what was already true." When inquired whether she was seeing anyone new, Meri smiled but did not play her cards. "I'm concentrating on myself now. I'm studying what it is to love me again." Christine Brown, remarried to warm and earthy David Woolley, strutted in with a whole different vibe. Her smile lit up the room, her laughter was authentic, and her posture yelled freedom. It was the polar opposite of the Christine of seasons long gone, the woman who cried in confessionals, who felt unseen, who questioned if she was important. That Christine no longer existed. This one had discovered her value. David joined the set briefly, and the chemistry between them was undeniable. They laughed like high school sweethearts, sharing glances that told entire stories without a word. "She's my queen," David said proudly. Christine beamed, "and he's the best man I've ever known." Their love was a mirror held up to Kody's broken relationships, unspoken but powerful. It said, "This is what love looks like when it's mutual, when it's safe, when it's real." Suki questioned Christine about how it felt to see the family disintegrate from a distance. "It's heartbreaking," she replied truthfully, "because I still love them all. But I had to save myself. I had to get out before I completely disappeared." She confessed that she sometimes feels guilty, particularly when she notices the pain in Robyn's eyes. "But I can't sacrifice my happiness for someone else's dream anymore." Janelle Brown, as stoic as always, sat down beside her. Her greatest strength has always been her quiet determination, and it was evident now more than ever. She had just lost her son, Garrison, a grief that hung over the whole interview like a cloud of doom, but she bore herself with dignity. "He was light," she told me, fighting tears. "He brought happiness to everyone." Kody, sitting to her left, looked absolutely destroyed. They were both grieving, but their roads apart. Janelle talked about the breakdown of her marriage to Kody with clarity and honesty. "We stopped being partners a long time ago," she said. "It became clear he had made his choice, and it wasn't me." Suki pressed further. Did Janelle believe Kody favored Robyn? Janelle didn't hesitate. "Yes, it was always obvious, and that's fine. If you're going to be monogamous, be honest about it." Kody bristled audibly at that. "It wasn't favoritism," he insisted. "It was circumstance. The pandemic altered everything." But that wasn't what Suki, or the audience, wanted to hear. The pandemic didn't create divisions. It revealed them. And while Kody attempted to spin it, the women remained resolute in their realities. Robyn also attempted to explain. "I never requested to be the favorite. I never wished for someone to leave." Her words, however, did not ring true to the other women. Christine called her on it. "You didn't need to ask, Robyn. Your behavior spoke more than words ever could. We saw it. You knew he spent more time with you, and you never questioned it." Robyn's lips shook, but she said nothing. One of the creepiest parts was when Meri explained how Kody informed her they hadn't been married for years, despite the fact that she had been clinging to the whole time. "He made me think we still had something, while shutting me out emotionally," she explained. "That's emotional cruelty." Kody didn't dispute it. "I was a coward," he admitted. "I didn't know how to finish it, so I just ducked it." The confession was brash, and it attracted a sudden gasp from the audience. As the tell-all went on, the real emotional terrain lay bare. Robyn, the former favorite wife, was now alone. Kody, the patriarch, was by himself, no longer ruling a plural family, but merely trying to deal with the ruin. And the three women who once shared a life with him, Meri, Janelle, and Christine, had all moved on without him. But through all the hurt, there was a peculiar feeling of closure. These were not the same women of the first few seasons. They had changed, grown, and learned to love themselves. Whether in tears or in new romance, they had taken back their narratives. And perhaps that is what this tell-all was truly about. Not merely the conclusion of a family, but the renewal of the women. Christine confronts Robyn, Janelle reclaims herself, and Kody's narrative collapses. The second half of the tell-all put everything on high. What started as a subdued unspooling became a blistering face-off between past hurts and new realities. It wasn't only about who came and went and why. It was about betrayal, favoritism, and the unwritten rules that governed the Brown family's downfall. And at the heart of it all, Christine, no longer quiet, no longer passive. This time around, she arrived with fire in her voice and conviction in her heart. Christine, long considered the most emotionally fragile wife, showed a strength that shocked us all on set. Suki posed the question that viewers had been arguing about for decades. Did Robyn contribute to the family's downfall? Christine didn't flinch. "Absolutely," she replied, "not in any direct way, but with her presence, with her silence, with the way she embraced the imbalance, it all wore us down." Robyn's eyes welled up, her mouth parting as if to answer, but Christine had not finished. We were not only wives, we were supposed to be sisters, and you allowed that to crumble. Her voice shook with emotion, but she did not back away. You could have stood up. You could have told him to treat her fairly, but you didn't. You liked where you were. Suki turned to Robyn, offering her an opportunity to reply. I didn't know what to do, Robyn whispered. I felt that if I spoke up, it would only make it worse. I just wanted to have peace. Christine slowly shook her head. Peace for you, perhaps, but not for us. Janelle, who sat next to Christine, nodded. There was an understanding by omission. No one told Robyn to sabotage us, but her silence was golden. We were all over our heads, and she wrote it out, warm and dry. Robyn's face was etched with tragedy. It was maybe the first time she really understood how the other women had felt about her presence. Not as a sister, but as a wedge. Kody attempted to get in there and steer the conversation. You're making Robyn the bad guy, he snapped. That's not right. I was calling the shots. Christine shot back quickly. Exactly. And she was the only one you asked when making those calls. That hit hard. Even Kody went quiet, aware of the gravity of what had been spoken. The tell-all then shifted its attention to Janelle, who was open in a moment of vulnerability. She discussed the death of her son Garrison with gut-wrenching candor. There's nothing that prepares you for that, she said, voice breaking. Nothing. I miss him every day, and I'll never stop grieving. The room went quiet out of respect. Even Kody was crying. Suki wanted to know how Kody had comforted her during that loss. The silence was strained. Janelle cast her eyes downward, selecting her words. We've mourned separately, she replied. We're not a couple any longer, and that makes it complicated. But we both loved Garrison. That will always bring us together in some way. Kody leapt in, visibly shaken. I was a bad father, he confessed. There were days I didn't appear for him the way I should have. I was too concerned with control, with rules. I wish I hadn't done that more than anything in the world. Janelle nodded, but didn't forgive. It's too late for apologies, Kody. What's important now is how we remember Garrison in the future. Robyn tried to reach out to Janelle, emotionally and physically. I miss him too, she said softly, reaching for her hand. Janelle accepted the gesture, but her body remained stiff. There was too much history, too much unspoken pain. This wasn't a moment of healing. It was a truce born out of mutual grief. Then came the most anticipated portion of the tell-all, the conversation about Meri's final separation from Kody. Suki rolled tape of Kody telling her things such as, we haven't been a couple in years, and there's no spark, no connection. Meri sat with a numb sort of hurt, the kind that follows decades of unspoken endurance. Watching that hurts me, she acknowledged, not because I didn't know, but because he said it so nonchalantly, like our past didn't count for anything. Suki asked, what was it like hearing that from the man you once loved so much? Meri smiled sadly. It was liberating. I did not have to beg anymore. I did not have to hope. It was finished, and I could stop torturing myself. The audience applauded, feeling the weight of that emotional freedom. Then, in a dramatic turnabout, Meri confronted Robyn. I wish you had been honest with me from the beginning, she said. You knew Kody had released me. You knew he wasn't returning. But you allowed me to hold on to hope. That hurt worse than anything. Robyn wept uncontrollably. I didn't know how to say it to you, she sobbed. I assumed he would change his mind. But Meri had long since made her peace with that chapter. It's done. I'm not angry anymore. I just won't let myself be lied to ever again. Her voice was firm, her presence unshakable. Meri was no longer the overlooked wife. She was her own woman, with a future she was finally penning herself. Then came the moment that had fans screaming online. Christine and David talking openly about their life together. Suki asked what made their relationship so different from her marriage to Kody. Christine didn't hesitate. He sees me, that's the difference. I'm not invisible, I'm not second place, I'm not a burden, I'm loved. David contributed, Christine is worthy of happiness, and I wake up each day eager to provide that for her. The juxtaposition between David's affection and Kody's abandonment couldn't have been more abrupt. It wasn't simply a new relationship. It was a rebuke to all Christine had endured. Kody himself seemed visibly uneasy, but he did not say anything. Perhaps he did know. Perhaps he now saw what he had given up. Or perhaps he just no longer had the words. Robyn, crying, confessed something shocking. I feel like I was set up to fail, she told her. They all left, and now I'm left trying to keep this shattered family intact. I didn't want to be alone. Christine answered with compassion but with force. But we were broken before we left, Robyn. You just didn't notice because you were still getting what you wanted. The emotional climate in the room was stifling, no longer a tell-all, but an autopsy. The plural marriage was deceased, and each person had their own story of how it died. Some blamed circumstance, some blamed Robyn, and others, such as Christine and Janelle, just viewed it as the inevitable result of an unbalanced dynamic. The last portion was a montage of memories, family gatherings, road trips, births, and weddings. The early days, when the Browns actually did look like some kind of hopeful, if odd, family. It hurt to watch. Even the cast appeared disturbed by the memory of what they used to be. Suki concluded with an easy question. Would you ever go back? Meri shook her head. Never. Janelle was adamant. That chapter is over. Christine, chuckling through tearful smiles, came in. I'm where I belong now. Only Robyn seemed uncertain. I don't know, she admitted. I just wish it didn't end like this. Kody, his eyes glistening, spoke softly. I wish I had done it all differently. But it was too late. The women had passed on, and the plural family they once created was a thing of the past, a one filled with lessons, heartache, and finally, freedom. Who survived it?